Hello and welcome back to the Void Century podcast. Adam here today to bring you chapter 988 of One Piece entitled Sorry for the Wait. As you may or may not know, Ed is still on hiatus going through a couple life changes, so we have another special guest to do the pod with us today. She has been featured on the podcast before, of course, my partner Dahlia. Do you want to reintroduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Dahlia. I am a very recent One Piece fan. I just started reading everything this year and I'm fully caught up and ready to partake in this theory crafting and chapter explorations.
So before we begin, just a little pro tip. Sorry for any poor audio quality. It's literally 100 degrees where I live right now, and I'm not turning off my air conditioning, so if you hear it click on in the back, I'm sorry.
Same over here. We both live in relatively the same place and it's been pretty hot this summer.
Okay, so we come in on the chapter, and Kaido again is on top of the skull at Onigashima, and he's recognizing the minks, and he's like, oh, it's a full moon. It makes you guys turn into berserkers known as Sulongs. We get a cool little panel of all the musketeers wearing their hats, kind of looking down all solemn like, and before you know, a door opens and Jack busts in with a whole bunch of forces and even a big Oni looking numbers guy. And he's like, Master Kaido, we're so sorry they got close to you. We'll make sure this will never happen again. The minks notice who Jack is. Neko and Inu turn towards him and they're like, oh, this is the guy that destroyed Zo, a city that stood for over 1,000 years in peace. And he was just looking for this guy named Rizo. At that moment, Rizo, he's like, oh, Jack, my name is Rizo. I was on Zo. By the way, you never caught me. I'm going to repay the minks for their kindness and their friendship and loyalty. So Jack's sitting there looking all shook once he realized that Rizo, Neko, and Inu are still alive. And we see Roddy and Bibi, who are two of the Whale Force Guardians. We see them go Sulong, and they get the huge big fur, kind of like Carrot. And out of nowhere, we get Inuyasha's Musketeers, and they're all going Sulong too. And it's looking really cool with the flowing manes and everything. And then the next panel, the camera kind of pans out a little bit, and we actually see all the minks howling at the full moon as they all go Sulong. Jack tells his men, oh, don't worry, the Sulong transformation time is short, you don't have to worry. And then you see a couple gifters that are all like, oh, do your worst, we're animals too. The numbers guy gets introduced, his name's Nanji, and he's just sitting there just like, okay, I guess we're fighting. We see a little bit of smoke on top of the castle. Big Mom is sitting there staring at the hole in the castle at Onigashima, the big skull. She's like, oh, they started fighting up there. And then we see Queen and King, and they're like, oh, did Jack go up there with him? Yeah, thank God, he was considerate enough to leave. King hears something, and he looks, and he sees Shinobu on top of Momo's crucifix trying to break his chains. Shinobu gets spotted by King. King basically grabs her by the head and throws her into a wall. Momo is shouting for Shinobu. Luffy is shouting for Shinobu. We see Carrot and Nami. They're like, oh my god, Shinobu's hurt. And out of nowhere, Momo's chains break. King and Queen are like, oh, what was that? And Momo starts floating up in the air a little bit. Everybody around the execution platform is just like, oh, what's going on? How is Momo flying? Shinobu is still alive even though she's a little badly bruised, and she's starting to fly away with one of her ninja techniques. And out of nowhere, King is not fooled by this at all, and he clashes with an invisible man, only to find out that invisible man is Sanji, Soba Mask himself. And Nami and Carrot are like, Sanji, weren't you chasing after women? And Sanji's like, not now, don't have time to talk, as he gets choked out by King. Sanji throws Momo to Shinobu, and Shinobu goes to take him away, and Sanji gives Momo a thumbs up, and he's like, oh, it was really cool announcing your name like that, no, Momo, way to do it like a man. As Momo flies away, he calls out for Sanji, who is now literally getting impaled by King's beak as he goes full Pteranodon form and proceeds to fly Sanji full speed into a wall. And King, with the cool one-liners, is like, oh, let's see you disappear from this, man. And Sanji's like, no, you don't understand the invisibility. It's just a visual thing. And even Luffy, after seeing the attack, just comments on, wow, that looked really bad. I hope Sanji's okay. He turns to Yamato, calling him Yamao again. And he's like, oh, help Shinobu protect Momo. And Yamato is like, oh, is that really okay, Luffy? I mean, can I? I guess I'm really his dad after all. And at that moment, we see just Big Mom lunging towards Luffy.
Yeah, so after Yamato takes Momo, Big Mom lunges at Luffy and she's holding Napoleon and flying on Prometheus. And she just wants to get the party started up again. Like, she wants her tea party, she wants the feast, she wants, like, revenge for, like, everything. And she's rallying all of the Beast Pirates. And Big Mom's like, Luffy, you always ruin everything. You ruined, like, all these plans I had, you ruined all the fun. And she launches her Ikoku sovereignty, which is an Elbaf spear, and tries to attack Luffy. And her attack makes this like giant hole on the side of the castle, like you can literally just see right through the castle. And all like the guys on the ground, they're like, oh, what? Big Mom's so strong. She's just like Kaido. And like everyone's looking around. They're like, oh, two Kaidos? And then Luffy just says that he wants to help the Minks. He doesn't want Big Mom to like follow him up there because like he doesn't want her to get involved yet. And Big Mom just thinks that Luffy's gonna run, and so she calls for Zeus. But however, Nami is holding on to Zeus because she was trying to steal him again. And so Nami talks to Zeus and tries to make him choose between her and Big Mom. But obviously, he's one of Big Mom's homies, so he's gonna go back to Big Mom, like he can't disobey her. And so Zeus tells Nami that he will go easy on her if she just dies, and Nami's about to get attacked by Zeus because he's like puffing out and like turning all like scary and stuff. And right at that moment, we see Brooke and Frankie riding in on this big motorcycle, and Nami says, "I hate you, Zeus." And at that moment, Brooke and Frankie smash into Big Mom's face. They like literally ride over her in the motorcycle, like, oh, that must have been a weird speed bump. And Brooke slices Zeus in half. And it was just a really cool entrance. And Frankie, of course, with his one-liners at the very end is super cool.
Yeah, I think it was super cool. That's the end of the chapter. Big Mom definitely got her just desserts. I know I've been kind of calling it that. I really wanted Brooke to show up and have another battle with Big Mom again. So I'm happy to see it kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense that like he would help them fight against Big Mom because his like Soul King abilities and stuff.
Yeah, he seems to be the most acclimated to at least do some AoE damage and disable a lot of Big Mom's homies. But what I really want to know is, do you think that the Scabbards and the Minks are going to be able to take out Kaido? They're kind of like all pooling their forces right now to have a big brawl with Kaido up top, but I don't know if they're strong enough. What do you think?
Yeah, like I don't know if they're strong enough to take like Kaido on by himself. Like I feel that because they're all like gearing up to like fight against like the crew and stuff. They're all like going into their Sulong forms and whatnot. I feel like that's probably gonna wear them out enough before they reach Kaido, probably.
The Minks are already at Kaido. Are you talking about like fighting Jack and the rest of the forces?
Yeah, Jack and the rest of the forces, but like I feel like I don't know, I feel like the Scabbards alone will probably need the Mink backup or like some form of backup in order to take on Kaido by himself.
I kind of agree with you. I think the Minks are kind of at this point right now where they are very strong, but I still think that they have this huge time limit with their transformation. So I think that they might be able to wound Kaido. I think that they'll definitely take out Jack and get revenge for Zoe. However, I don't think that Kaido's going to be in like any mortal danger.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like they'll be able to take on Jack and his crew just because of like how powerful their form is. But I feel like once they aren't in their Sulong form, like that's probably about the time where like Scabbards are fighting against Kaido, and probably a little bit too late for them to reach him. I'm not really sure.
I still wouldn't want to sleep on them though, because Neko and Inu did fight Jack for like a week straight without Sulong. So there's definitely a lot of resilience there. I think Sulong could push them over the edge. But we know that Jack is very durable. We have a member of the numbers there, and we have absolutely no idea what's going on with the numbers other than they're like this mythical fighting force under Kaido.
Yeah, totally. Like, I feel like everyone's just gonna be like separated and fighting off on their own. Like, I feel the Scabbards will be able to hold up against Kaido, but I totally believe that they're gonna need like, you know, the Straw Hats to come in and help them out.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I still feel like some of the scabbards are definitely going to lose their lives in this fight. I just don't see some of them transitioning back to normal life.
I can totally see that, but it's heartbreaking. I don't want to think about that.
Okay, so we could just talk about Shinobu and Raizo hooking up. Totally think they're going to tag team defeat Fukurokuju, and then they're definitely going to be the best ninja family ever.
Oh my god, right? Can you imagine like their little ninja babies?
So speaking of happy families, I read the spoilers and there was a lot of people angry at the spoilers because Sanji gets to face off against King instead of Zoro, who normally fights the second in command. Do you think Sanji's dead?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, knowing Sanji, like he's very strong. Like he's a part of the monster trio, as people put it. Like I don't think he's dead. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like like how far along we are for him to be dead. But I feel like he's gonna be pretty badly hurt, or I don't know. This was like my thinking somehow. I don't know. He managed to like maneuver his way around and like kind of like put his leg in front of King's beak, maybe. I don't know. That's like the only way I can think of like him surviving without like being like fatally or mortally injured.
I definitely think it might have something to do with the raid suit. Sanji's a lot more maneuverable in the air, and we haven't really seen him showcase all the abilities in his raid suit since he got it. All we saw was him transform, like hit page one in the face, check out a few people in the bath, and now Sanji's here.
Yeah, like I feel like his raid suit might probably play into this because I don't know, like he can fly around and stuff with the raid suit, and maybe he was able to like use that to like boost himself out of King's Beak. I'm not really sure, but it definitely will probably play a part in him surviving.
I think I was thinking more along the lines of maybe his raid suit is just really resilient towards physical damage. Either that or he has those little anti-gravity boots that all the Germa double six wear. So maybe he was able to influence like King's trajectory. Maybe he maybe he guided King towards a window and it's kind of the gag where like the head of the animal sticking out of the window while the prey kind of scampers away.
Oh my god, I would love to see that, but like knowing that this is King, like I feel like it probably won't play out that way.
I know, but a guy can hope.
Totally, but I feel like I don't know, someone's gonna go out where he is and help him. I'm not really sure who, but I just feel like he might need the extra help.
Marco. Maybe it's a setup for
Ooh.
Marco versus King.
Now that's something I would like to see happen.
Because we already saw page one, or not page one. We see that Marco's fighting Parasparrow right now. But, I mean, Marco can make quick work out of Candy Boy. I'd definitely much rather see him fight King, considering they're, like, good and evil of, like, zone fruits.
Oh, totally. Like it makes sense because like King, he's like flying around. He's like a what is he? What
He's a
dinosaur is he?
Pteranodon.
A pteranodon. Yeah, he's like a pteranodon, and Marco's like a phoenix. They're both like kinda considered like legendary birds or like flying. Well, I mean, I know like a pteranodon isn't a bird, but they're both. It's kind of like the same legendary bird kind of stuff going on. So it'd be a cool contrast, I think.
One's mythical, one's ancient. They both utilize flame attacks. Come on, Oda, let's see it.
Right? It totally makes sense. Like this, Marco's totally not gonna like, be slowed down or lagged down by fighting Sparrow.
It could be possible then that Marco saved him. So, alright, enough about Sanji. Who do we think Zoro's gonna fight now? I mean, I really, in my thinking, could only really find two contenders. We still don't know what's going on with Queen. We know that Queen's there on the execution platform. And we don't know what's up with Orochi. Yes, Orochi's supposed to be dead, but I don't believe that he's dead. I think that would be pretty solid fights for Zoro.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I can see him going up against Queen because Zoro's taken on all the or Zoro usually has taken on all the big shots and stuff, like all the powerful people. Um, As for Orochi, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is like kind of wishful thinking, but I don't think that Orochi will like fight against the Straw Hats or the Scabbards. Like, if he really isn't dead, then he's gonna be like, oh man, Kaido two-timed me. He was lying to me this whole time. He wanted to be dead, and I'm not gonna bother fighting against like the people who are fighting Kaido, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing.
Okay, but there's still a possibility that Orochi can command all these forces. I know I've talked about this with Ed before, but are you familiar with the concept of the Dragon Horn? So the Dragon Horn was a mythical item from Oda's first shot Monsters before he wrote One Piece, which is canon in the One Piece universe. Basically, Guy used this mythical object called the Dragon Horn to summon a dragon to Wano, which Ryuma killed. I thought that it was possible that maybe Kaido was working for Orochi because Orochi had the dragon horn. It's still possible. It still might be on Wano someplace.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I'd never heard about it, but now that you're explaining it to me, it kind of makes sense that, it just kind of makes sense to me.
And then it could be another parallel of Zoro's a descendant of Ryuma, which everybody thinks is true because they look the same, and Ryuma used to have green hair. Typical One Piece stuff. But I definitely think Orochi's still going to be a player. I don't think he's dead yet. I think Orochi could still turn out to be the big bad of this arc. Maybe not in terms of like the most powerful fighter, but definitely the most conniving.
Oh, definitely. I can totally see him, like, just coming out, like, from the shadows or something, like, a total shock to everyone.
With a Mandark laugh. I could definitely see that. Ha 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 ha, I'm back! Alright.
Totally.
So the next one on the docket is Chopper and Usopp. Last time we saw them, they were, storming around in that tank, and they got confronted with a couple members of the Numbers. What do you think's up with them?
I honestly don't really know what, like, they're going to do right now. Like, I feel like Chopper at some point will have to fight someone, using either one of his, like, point forms, but I'm not really sure, like, who they're gonna fight up against, or, like, where or when. Like, it's totally up in the air for me.
What I really want... See, I think one of the reasons why Chopper would be so valuable to the Beast Pirates, and I think there's a possibility Chopper could get captured just like Otama was. Keep in mind, we're still in the third act, so there has to be a tragedy before the fourth act begins, just the way Kabuki plays go. So I think it's a potential that Chopper could be captured, because I think that the Beast Pirates would really be interested in his Rumble Ball technology.
I can totally see that now that you're like talking about it, and I don't want that to happen. Chopper's a baby.
He is a baby, but imagine if the Rumble Balls would actually be able to allow the Beast Pirates and the Gifters who have these Smile Fruits to control their Devil Fruits more.
That would be way too powerful. Yeah, that'd be so powerful and like totally a valuable asset to them. They would totally want their hands on it, once they find out that Chopper can do all this stuff, or he's like, perfected all this stuff.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like why they were so interested in Otama too, because her devil fruit allows her to control animals. So it would pretty much allow Kaido to remove the dissent from anybody he's bestowed a devil fruit to.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you're talking about it, I can totally see them wanting to steal Chopper away, and I hope it doesn't happen.
But like you were talking about it earlier, I think it is possible that Chopper could go Monster Point, but I think in that case he would fight the Numbers. We don't know what the deal is with the Numbers either. If they are giants, I think it would fuel towards like Usopp having kind of a vendetta with them, because Usopp is all about like the purity of the warrior culture in Elbaf, because he really loves Dory and Brogy. So if these guys are Elbafian giants but they're kind of corrupted, I definitely think that would be motivation for Usopp to kind of set them straight and fight against them.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening. Because I remember, like, as I was reading the chapter, I'm like, damn, as I was reading the chapter, I thought, wow, these guys really look like those, Elbaf giants. And I didn't really make that connection in my mind, linking it up to, like, a possible connection with Usopp maybe, or his possibility of getting involved with fighting against them, but it does make sense.
I mean, they are the babies of the crew, but they do have to fight, and they are pretty proficient fighters now. I mean, I don't think we can really catalog Usopp being a member of the weak trio anymore, except for his mentality, but He's already a brave warrior of the sea. Now he just needs to believe in himself.
Well, I definitely believe in him.
I believe in him too. Speaking about people I don't believe in, so Sasaki and Who's Who and the rest of the Flying Six, they still need to capture Yamato. I believe Yamato is probably going to get captured in that big tragedy we talked about.
That might be possible too. There's like so many like possible tragic like not endings per se, but like moments that I can foresee happening, and like I don't want it to happen. Like I just feel so attached to all these characters.
Well, I mean, they're not going to be gone, except in the case of the Scabbards. I mean, I definitely think Yamato has a bigger future in this series than just fizzling out and dying. However, I think if the raid goes south here and some members do get captured, yeah, I think it's going to be good motivation for the final battle. Kind of like we had the birdcage looming over our heads in Dressrosa. You have like that impending doom that eventually, through perseverance, friendship, hockey, and devil fruit powers alone, you can become the Pirate King.
I can see that happening. Um, but I don't know. I just don't want anyone to like have anything bad happen to them. But I definitely feel like they will catch up to Yamato and Momo.
I feel like they will too. It also brings the question. I know we talked about how we thought that Zoro might fight Queen later, but Zoro could very well fight any other member of the Flying Six, except for maybe Drake. So speaking of ex Drake, do you think this is like the moment where Sword's gonna make their move and hop in and try to mess everything up?
Can you refresh me on that little part? Sorry, I don't know if you want to cut this.
Okay, no, you're fine. So Drake is a member of the Flying Six. He's also a member of the Worst Generation. He's the guy with the T-Rex devil fruit. And it turns out that he swore allegiance to Kaido, so he's one of Kaido's top fighters. However, he's a double agent for the military, and he's in cahoots with people like Kobe and we think
Oh
Garp.
yeah, yeah, I remember that part. I just like totally forgot about it until you mentioned it.
It's any kind of possibility that Drake and the other members of the Marines could show up and really throw a wrench in the works. I think it would be good if they fought against CPI Zero, who is also on Wano right now.
Yeah, I really can see like the government like just stepping in at like possibly not right now while the fights are still like ongoing, but like probably at the end, like towards like the very big battle, you know?
Yes and no, but keep in mind it's just the Marines that are going to be led by Sword aren't really Marines that are being led by the world government. That's the Aegis Zero. The Marines that are going to show up are Marines that would be sympathetic towards like freedom.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Like not necessarily like the government like Marines, but just like the Marines that he's been in cahoots with.
So, what did you think about Carrot turning into Sulong again? Well, we haven't seen it yet, but she's gonna go Sulong.
I am totally waiting for that moment to happen. Like I can't really like imagine who she's gonna like try and fight against, but I definitely feel like she's gonna turn into her Sulong form
I got an
at
easy
one
one
point or
for you
another.
for her to fight. Pero Sparrow. Pedro sacrificed himself to kill Pero Sparrow, so she'll avenge her master.
That makes sense too. Like I just honestly thought that like Marco would take care of Paris Sparrow though.
I mean, well, I think it's more likely that Marco's gonna have to step in and fight King now.
So possibly like while he's stepping away, she enters in.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's what I find hard about like this chapter right now is it's just everything's like an all-out brawl. So it's pretty much so who's gonna show up and fight? Who's gonna fight who? It's just big like power scaling and fight discussion.
It really is like there have been a lot of moments, you know, that we get to see like these different characters and their development and whatnot. But I just feel like this, like their battle has just been going on for like a long time, even though it really hasn't been like a lot of chapters.
I mean, the battle just started, but there's just so many moving parts. It's like, remember how long Dressrosa was because we had everybody that was in the Colosseum, so we had all the gladiators that we got introduced to. It's like the same thing, but at like a much larger scale. So we're getting to like introduce all these characters, we're getting to know all these stories, and now we're just getting the matchups and like the precursors to all their fights.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't really mind it because like you know I love getting all this content, but it's just a little hard to like try and remember like where everyone is, where everyone's going, like, what the plans are, even though like, they were detailing out the plans right before the battle. Like it's just a little hard to keep track with.
I mean, there's literally like over 100 individually named characters to keep track of right now in the Wano arc, so I can imagine it's only just a little bit tough trying to remember everybody, especially because a lot of them have Japanese names too, which we might not be so comfortable with being over here in the West. And on top of that, some of these are new characters that we don't even really have a lot of experience with either. So
Exactly, yeah. Like as a newer One Piece fan, it's like so overwhelming sometimes, like because I am barely starting to read like, every week like these new chapters like as a new fan, like 'cause before I was just binging all of it. But I haven't like before when I was binging it, I didn't really like have a system of like remembering who's who. Like I just like read and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this person, but like I wasn't like really connecting the dots in terms of like crafting my theories around them. Like, oh, I wonder if this person will do this. It's more like, oh, I'm reading it and I know what will happen because it's already been done with.
yeah, I think it's hard when you're binging because you don't notice like the individual nuance that Oda tries to tie everything in with. So you pretty much know like the events that happened, but you weren't looking in the background of a certain panel or how somebody said a certain thing or how somebody acted in this way when this thing happened.
I think it's time we move on to our next little portion. I just had a question or like a doubt in my mind, like, is any or will anyone catch up to Shinobu? Like, I know that Shinobu passed on Momo to Yamato, but like, I just don't want anything bad to happen to Shinobu.
I mean, right now the two main parties involved that could pretty much catch them are going to be Queen. Queen could, don't want to say very easily, but again, he's kind of like the plague, so he could easily hit him with a weapon that he's got. And I mean, you also just have the rest of the Flying Six, Ulti and Co. We don't know what's going on with Page One or Ulti, so they're still wild cards.
Yeah, I can totally see like one of them catching up with her, and I don't want that to happen, but like I feel like it might.
I mean, it could be possible. Again, I don't think Momo is gonna get out unscathed so quickly. It could be a possibility where Shinobu could sacrifice herself or get into a fight to save Momo and buy him some more time.
I can totally see that happening, and I don't want it to.
So, speaking of fights with ladies, Brooke and Frankie versus Big Mom confirmed.
Oh, totally. I want to see that happen. Like, I don't know if like the both of them can completely take on Big Mom, but definitely at least stall her for a bit.
I definitely think Frankie's probably going to go General Frankie, Battle Shogun, whatever you want to call it, and Brooke's just going to be by for like anti-homie support. So it's going to be almost like a kaiju, like a Godzilla battle in Onigashima.
I I can totally see that too, but I don't know. I just feel like their their like part right now is just like stall Big Mom around while Luffy tries to get to Kaido, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, they're both very powerful characters, but like, I don't think they could take on Big Mom just by themselves.
I agree with you, but we also know that Jinbei and Robin are there. We also know that Zoro is going to be a wild card too. If everybody was so mad about Sanji being able to fight King, then won't they be really pissed about Zoro fighting Big Mom 1v1?
uh, I I don't think I don't see Zoro fighting Big Mom for some reason.
I mean, he's got no qualms against cutting women.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like, he definitely can take her on because he's like strong enough, but I don't think that's his fight.
Then do you think, well, so then Big Mom will just fight fodder? I mean, I'm not calling Frankie and Brooke fodder, but they're not enough to really take her down by themselves.
I mean, maybe like Jim. I feel like Jinbei's probably gonna step in right there because he and Big Mom also have history.
Yeah, but like, I don't think that Jinbei would be able to take out Big Mom 1v1. I mean, maybe he could. We don't know like what happened at the end of Whole Cake Island between her and Jinbei.
Like, I feel like him, Frankie, and Brooke might be able to, like, the three of them together, but not just Frankie and Brooke, you know?
I don't know. Again, we're still talking Yonko, so if Big Mom is supposed to be of a similar power to Kaido, and Kaido's currently fighting like 50 dudes right now, I think it's going to take more than just 3 people.
Yeah, that's true. Luffy's gonna have to like step in, or I don't know who's gonna like be the one to take Big Mom down.
What if they don't have to take Big Mom down? What if they just make her go into another rage, and then she's literally become like a hindrance against Kaido and the rest of the Beast Pirates?
Ooh, that's a good theory. Like I can totally see them using Big Mom as like a distraction almost like against Kaido.
It's similar to what they did with Mother Caramel's picture, and they made her scream and incapacitate everybody that would harm them at the party. Could be something similar. Maybe Brooke keeps a torn picture of Mother Caramel around just for this reason.
Oh my god. um yeah, I think that, Big Mom not necessarily like Big Mom versus Kaido. Although maybe, I don't know, what if?
Big Mom versus Kaido? I think Kaido could just annihilate her.
Or not necessarily like a 1v1, but like I don't know.
Who's stronger?
Yeah.
Big or Kaido? Totally.
Or I meant it like as in like if everyone, not everyone, but like if Big Mom gets into like one of her rages, like completely knocks down everyone around her and like somehow gets to Kaido, like I feel like she could probably like not take him down per se, but like definitely, I don't know, like weaken him.
Possibly. I think she'd be more of like an annoyance, or like Kaido would be so preoccupied with trying to do something about Big Mom that he'd leave himself vulnerable to attack.
Yeah, I can see that happening. There's just like so many possibilities. It's like very overwhelming to me.
Hey, but that's just One Piece. That's why you talk about it far more than you read it. At least I do.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to get into the habit of like forming different thoughts around like what I'm reading so far.
It's just hard. There's just so much to look at. I mean,
Like,
last
I feel like I'm way more invested in the characters themselves and like trying to think up of what will happen to them, if that makes sense.
Oh, I guess so, but like I feel like One Piece has changed as a whole, that we really don't get a lot of character centric stuff anymore. Like we don't really get a lot of the Straw Hats just hanging out and doing Straw Hat things as much as it is set up to like story progression and just wrapping everything up.
Definitely. I mean, it is like a shonen battle manga after all, and I don't know. I just like involving myself into like thinking about like scenarios involving the characters, like and their development and their stories, rather than like thinking about like, ooh, who's gonna take on who, or who's gonna die or whatever.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I'm not really preoccupied as much with like the battles and the fights as much as I want to figure out how the story ties in like the little niche elements together.
Exactly. Like that's why like throughout this whole time I've just been repeating like, "Ooh, I can see that happening, but I don't want it to happen because I just love these characters and I don't want to see them, put in a position like where they might die or like where they have to like make a sacrifice, even though like it's very important to the story, you know."
Man, then when you read those chapters about Ace and Whitebeard, you must still get teary-eyed and upset. Are you having flashbacks?
Don't even mention it to me. Oh my goodness, I was sobbing, like full on sobbing.
It's okay. I'm sure we'll get more flashbacks with Whitebeard and Ace. It can't be that bad. So I think that's it for our chapter this week. Do you have any other things that you want to discuss?
Not necessarily, unless it's like ideas for my new fanfic.
Oh, please, no. We'll accept those by email, please.
If
Again,
anyone wants to submit any ideas, send us your contact.
thank you very much. This has been the Void Century Podcast. Again, you can catch us on Twitter and Instagram at the Void Century PC. You can reach out to us at the Void Century Podcast at gmail.com, or you can check us out at the Void Century Podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thanks for sailing with us.
Bye, everyone.